Join me as your host, Roderick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media, LLC. Let's go!
Welcome to another episode of Musicians Matters podcast, episode 54. But before the sessions begins, this is what is happening in our community. DAD Productions presents White Night 2023, Sunday at 7 p.m. at Victory Baptist Church, 500 West Monroe, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. Do you have your tickets yet? You need to be there at 7 p.m. Sunday. Let's welcome Bruce Harper, the mastermind of big bands. How you doing today, huh?
I'm doing pretty good, Swifty. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing really great actually. Last night was an awesome show. Out of the two that I've been to, I think last night was the top.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We worked hard, I'll tell you that.
I can tell. When the stage was set, when the lights dimmed, what was the first thought on your mind as it produced?
Well, that's an interesting question. The first thing on my mind was getting the show started off correctly, because we had three brand new players that had never played with the band before in key positions too. And so the other players that I had, they knew the routines, and the routines would change a little bit from time to time, but the other guys knew exactly what the routines were, and I didn't have to think about guys missing the cues of how to start the show off. So we had rehearsed this a couple of times, and I had changed what was on the music to a little bit different concept. So with these changes, those are on my mind, and I just need to get everybody started in the same place correctly, because the drums started it by itself, just drums, and then it was as long as I wanted to play, which wasn't going to be too long, and then I was going to count the rhythm section in all by itself for 4 bars, and then the band comes in. But at rehearsal, the band kept forgetting that the rhythm section was going to play 4 bars all by itself, and so when I would count in the rhythm section, the horn started playing. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. So everybody's got to remember all this stuff, So the first thing on my mind is, I'm sure hoping everybody's going to remember what to do. And it's a little stressful, And but it came off perfectly, and everybody did what they were supposed to do and came in properly, and so that was the key thing that was on my mind when I started. Plus, thinking about in my solo part to start the thing, I have to think about the tempo of the first tune, because I want my solo to be in that same tempo and in the same style. And then I've got to be able to count the rhythm section in while I'm playing. So I got a lot on my plate right there. So that's mainly what I was thinking. And then as soon as the whole song starts, which was Let the Good Times Roll, fun tune. As soon as we got into it, then we're off and sailing, and I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. So that was
tell. I couldn't tell.
Well, that's good. You know, these are the things that we work on to make a presentation, you know, to make it a show that's seamless. And because we don't want the audience to notice too many bad things going on, you know. And we want it to be as seamless as possible, a professional show. But even with a professional show, and it's live music and live jazz, and so little things, little bobbles will happen here and there, you know. But that's part of live music. So we had a couple of little bobbles here and there, you know. Horn player miss a note, or I miss a little fill or something. You know, these are like minor things, and most people don't even hear it. You know, they're so minor, but that's just part of live music, you know.
You're right. You're right. As far as of Bill King, let us know a little bit about Bill King. He caught my eye last night.
Yeah. He's been a good friend for 30 years, and I met him back. I was playing at the Gold Coast with a jazz band in the daytime, 5 days a week, and I did that for 10 years. And we needed a trumpet player, and so he came in and auditioned. He and another guy. The other guy got the gig, but I got to know Bill, and at that time, Bill was going out on cruise ships a lot. He had just come back into Las Vegas, and but he was making his living touring the world on cruise ships, and he went to a lot of interesting places, Egypt and all over Europe, and we got to see the world. And so that's when I met him, and so he would come to Vegas, and he'd be here a few months, and then his money would run out, and then he'd go back out on the cruise ship and make some more money. And then he'd come back, and then he'd go back out. And finally, I told him, I said, Bill, hey, you're such a great player that you got to make a stand. If you're going to ever stay here, you got to make a stand and just stick it out and quit going out on the cruise ships and just stay here. And he did. And he's now one of the most popular trumpet players in town. You know,
yes, he is. I seen it. I seen it last night.
Oh yeah. So I've had this chart. He's played this before, but it's probably been 10 years since he's played this. It was Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. It's a specialty arrangement, just to feature him. And but like I said, we haven't played it in a while. So and it takes a lot of stamina to play that thing. It's not easy for him to play it. You know, he's that just shows what a terrific trumpet player he is to be able to even play the thing. So I thought he did a terrific job on it, and it's fun for the whole band to play. You know, it's jazz, and you know, it starts off kind of slow, and he's got to conduct parts of it and play at the same time. And you know, it takes some work on his part at home to figure out how he's going to do it all, even though he's played it before, but it's been 10 years, you know. So now he has a little small group that plays around town, and they play at our singer's restaurant called Manzu, and they have great Italian food, and he plays over there on Saturday nights with his small group occasionally, and they usually advertise it on Facebook. If you look up Manzu, or you look up my singer Naomi Morrow, you can find when he's playing at Monzu, and he's got a great group, and he also sings very well. So he sings and plays his trumpet, and he's gotten more and more popular over the years, and he's got a big following now.
Yeah, as far as last night, that was my first time getting a chance to speak to him. He's very well educated and very knowledgeable in what he's doing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. He's a smart cat. He loves science and outer space stuff and all kinds of physics, and those are his hobbies besides playing trumpet. And he works on cars. He drives an old, I think it's about a '69 Ranchero Ford that he's painted and rebuilt the engine and the whole thing. He loves doing that too. He's quite a guy. Very intelligent.
So he likes classic cars.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, check this out. As far as of big bands, do you think it has changed from right now to back in the past?
It has changed a little bit. I would say that when the big band started back in the middle 30s and into the 40s, they were more dance-oriented, and the drummers had these huge bass drums. The bass drum I use is a 22-inch, and some guys like 20-inch and even smaller 18-inch. That's a little bitty bass drum. But back in the early days, the drummers were using 28-inch bass drums, and they were huge. But the drummers played what I call four on the floor. They would play like boom, 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 boom on that bass drum with their foot, and it gave the dancers a strong beat to dance to. And so those were all dance bands pretty much back in the 30s and 40s. That's how Count Basie and all those bands got started. They were dance bands. And it was sort of, in those days, it was kind of like a disco sort of a thing. In the late 70s, early 80s, they had the disco, and they had that beat pounding all four beats per measure. And so back in the 30s, 40s, very similar to what happened with the disco thing.
Okay.
So
awesome.
from then into the 50s, they say that the big band's era was kind of over by 1946, and so with it being over, like in the late 40s, Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie were playing bebop. They invented bebop, fast jazz and all this, and it didn't have a strong beat, like these dance bands. So when they got so popular, they were making records and everybody was listening to them. Well, that sort of changed the beat of the big bands. So they got away a little bit from that throbbing 4/4 bass drum thing, and so the band started taking on more of a drummer that was a little bit more in the bebop style. It was kind of a cross between bebop and the big band 4/4 thing, and that's kind of the way I play. I'm sort of I've developed from those early drummers, and then each era it was a little different. In the 50s it was a little different, and then in 60s they became more and more jazz oriented. So some of the early bands they were known as riff bands, and that's the way Count Basie played. They would play these bump, ba-ba-doo, da-ba-doo, they played the same things over and over. And then they'd change it. They give a cue, and then they go ba-ba-doo, da-da-da-da-da, and have a soloist play behind that. but that's kind of how those big bands got started. So as into the 60s, it really started changing a lot, and they became the bands. The musicians became better readers because the old bands back in the 30s and 40s, the guys, not very many of them could even read music. So they just kind of made it up as they went. And they would make arrangements on the bandstand as they're playing. You know, somebody give a cue and give an idea. And, you know, like one trumpet player, he would look at the other trumpets and he would play a little line pump, pump, and as soon as he played that, then the rest of the trumpets would come right in and copy what he did. And that's how a lot of those old arrangements got started. So, but by the 60s, guys could read better, and so the melodies progressed in those days, and it became more melodic, and it's still continued in that vein. And also the chord structures that the arrangers use to orchestrate the sound of the band. You know, you have three or four notes in a chord going on, and there's different ways to voice all that in the band to make it sound certain ways. And also the instrumentation changed in the bands a little bit. It's kind of stayed the same basically, except one popular band in the 40s during the World War II was Glenn Miller. And he didn't want a traditional sounding big band. He was looking for a different sound. So instead of a lead alto, he had a guy play clarinet. And that really changed the sound of the saxes, and it changed the whole sound of the band. And it was real nice, but most of the band leaders and musicians didn't really care for that sound for some reason. And I still hear them complain about that to this day. Yeah, so
far as Uncle, far as of big bands, I know you're the best that I have seen. What far as the you know, what is your sauce on the big bands? What makes your big band different? That's basically what I'm trying to say.
All right. Well, that's a good question. I'm not bragging or boasting, but this is just the way I feel from my heart. From the time I was a little boy, starting out on drums, before that, I had a natural instinct about what was tasteful and good in music. I could pick out what I liked and what went to my heart, you know. And so I've always played stuff that affects my heart, you know, a piece of music, you know, and I'm always looking for new music, and there's a lot of arrangers around the world, and they sell their music, and so I find a piece of music and find them, and I buy it from them. So, because of this little gift that God gave me, I'm able to. I'm lucky that people enjoy my taste in music. You know, because there's so many different ways to go about any music. You know, some guys like a big band and they want everything experimental and far out and kind of weird to me. And the general public, they don't like all that. They can't understand it, and it's sort of dark. And I like my music to be bright, shiny, and fun and uplifting to your heart. And so that's how I run the band. I find that kind of music, and that's what we play. And thank God that it's successful.
Yes, it has been very successful. Far as of Al Lindbergh, rest in heaven. Far as those ballads, those two ballads that you had played your band had played last night was one of them was "Don't Go to Strangers." That really got me. Tell us a little bit about "Don't Go to Strangers." Did you like that?
Well,
do you really like that?
Yeah. Well, see, Al wrote probably 30 different arrangements for me over the last 10, 11 years. And so he played trombone professionally on the Strip for years, and he played for all the famous singers that came to town back in the late 60s, early 70s. Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand, and on. He played for all these different singers, and Sinatra and Mel Torme and all these people. And so he worked in the copy mills they used to have in Hollywood. He grew up in Hollywood, and so they had all these TV shows. They had a Sinatra show and a Judy Garland show and Dean Martin show, and so they had to have new music written all the time. So these arrangers would write the music out, they'd write a score out, and then they would send it over to a guy that had a copy mill, and that's where Al worked as a teenager. He had a good hand. He could write plain where you could see it, and so when he got to Vegas, he had all that experience of writing, so he just soaked up all these arrangements that he had played on the Strip in Vegas. And so he asked me, he got about 10, 11 years ago, he played trombone on all those shows, lead trombone, and it got to where his health, he couldn't play the trombone anymore. But he wanted to remain in music, and so he and I were playing on another band similar to mine, and so he had to quit that band. And so he asked me if he could start writing for me, if he could write me an arrangement. And I said, well, I'd be honored, So I had just gotten a girl singer, and so I said, well, instead of writing an instrumental, why don't you write something that we can feature my girl singer on? And so he started writing female vocal charts for me, which really helped us with the band. And so he wrote this Don't Go to Strangers back around 2011, 2012, right around there. And it's a great tune. I think maybe Dinah Washington sang that. Some of the great older singers sang that tune, and I love it too myself. It's just a fantastic, sort of a tearjerker kind of a thing, but it's beautiful. And so, in the way Al wrote it, he has little things that he does that he puts into the music, because like the tempo
I noticed
like
that.
2, 3, 4, and it goes to the bridge, and he'll put little things like ba da da da, little double time figures in. The count is the same, but he puts these little double time figures in there that kind of dress it up. And with his experience playing all those shows he did, he picked up those little ideas. And then when he started writing for my band, all those ideas started pouring out one after another. And so that's how that tune came about for us.
I noticed that she was painting a picture last night on that particular song, Don't Go to the Strangers. You was like really into it, on oh my goodness.
yeah, I feel it, and yeah.
That's when I took that picture. Did you notice? You took down. I took that picture when you had your head down. Go back and look at it. That's when I took that picture.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I heard.
It was really
let's see, you
I'm gonna tell you.
You made a video, right?
Yeah, I did a video of the one far as of the when you just
Bebop.
Featured the band.
Yeah, Bebop Charlie.
Yes, that was really, oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Now, when I say ridiculous, it was like off the charts because I actually got to see the band, the big band, show their stuff as far as from the left side to the right side.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And the guys love being featured themselves and without the singer. They like to do that too. And so that tune was written by a guy that used to live here, Bob Florence. He was a piano player, conductor, and he used to conduct for big-time singers. And so he moved to L.A. and started his own big band. This was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And that tune is from that time period. I think he wrote that around 1979. And it still sounds modern, and it's just straight ahead swinging big band, about as good as you can get to me. And the guys love playing it. And goes over good with the audience, but the band can really get into it and just play hard and swing. Yeah, I was really actually into it. I loved when you got a chance to hear like all of the brass, basically all of the horn section, and then you got a chance to hear. The one that was playing the tuba, oh my goodness, that was, oh, wow. Oh. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the young man that, was that his first time playing that session? I'm not sure which guy you're talking about. The young, you're talking about Isaiah Butler? Israel Butler, yes. Yeah, he played the trombone solo in that song. That was nice. That was really nice. Yeah. That was really nice. Well, he's straight off the Count Basie's band. Okay. He was living in New York for years, and Count Basie band came to play in Myron's, where we played last night. They were here about a year ago, and he was with them when they played there. So he had already played in that room with the Basie band. And so he's quite a player. He's a top-notch guy. So he used what they call a wah-wah plunger that he had. Yes, I was looking at that. That's what caught my attention, was the plunger. Yeah, and you know what that is? And the trumpets and the trombones, they all carry these with them because they use them occasionally. And what it really is the end of a plumber's friend. Okay. That's true. Yep. And so he had a big blue one he was using, and it gives a different sound, So yeah, it does. Yeah. It really does. That one didn't really have a big of a hole in it. He was able to muffle it to where he was able to get the air out when he was shaking it and moving it. Yeah. It's a little bit different thing, and And I've seen a lot of guys use that idea. It's pretty common, really. And also, Isria, he's the brand new head of the whole music department at UNLV.
Awesome.
Yeah. He
Awesome.
he has his PhD. He's a doctor of music. And he's taken over the entire music program at UNLV. So that's why he's moved to Las Vegas, is because of that. So he still likes to play, and so my regular lead trombone player is playing with Lady Gaga, and they were rehearsing all this week, so he couldn't play with us last night, and so he sent in Isria and just knocked us out. We loved having him there.
Yeah, he did an amazing job, I must say. There's a question I want to ask you as far as of swinging and trapping. What most best suits you? Do you like to trap or do you like to swing?
Do I like say the last part again? Do I like swing or what?
Do you like to swing like far as when you're playing your music? Do you like to when you swing? Do you like to play the swing music or do you like to really trap? I like to trap.
I've never heard that terminology, trap.
Like taking it like
say that.
I really like to putting it in there, like socketing it in there. That's basically what I'm talking about. When you playing the jazz song, there's like, say for instance, like the melody changes, like it, you trapping or you swinging when you playing on that music. That's basically why I asked you that.
Right. Okay. Well, basically, I kind of get a feeling for where the music is going while I'm playing it. Almost everything we play has a swing to it. We're going like do-ba-doo, do-ba-doo, do-ba-doo-doo. But we do have some songs, and I enjoy them too, that are played more in a straight eighth type of thing, like bossa. We did Gingy last night, the slow bossa, and it's like chung ding 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 ding.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about there.
Yeah. So I like both, but I have to say that my heart probably is more with the swinging because that's what I grew up with. My dad bringing home the records and stuff, and they were all swing stuff, and rock hadn't really gotten going that much, and even the first rock, I used to be into Little Richard, and I've read up on Arnold. Earl Palmer is his name. Earl Palmer. He was the drummer for Little Richard, and he talked about the first session that they did. They recorded these first tunes of Little Richard in New Orleans in the back of a music store. That's where they had a studio, and so Earl Palmer had already recorded. He had some hits out with Fats Domino, and so everything that they did was a swing shuffle swing kind of a thing, And so he talks about this. He said Little Richard came in one night when he got off. This was about midnight. Little Richard got off his job, came over, and they were going to record some of Little Richard's stuff. Well, they never even met Little Richard. And so they started playing the first tune, and Little Richard was like, he was really playing hard on the piano and singing in a style that those guys had never heard before. And so Little Richard was going like do-do-daddy, do-do-daddy, do-do-daddy on the piano. And so those guys, they never heard that before. So they're going like do-do-daddy, do-do-daddy, and they realized right off the bat, well, that wasn't going to work. That wasn't going to go together. You can't swing and play straight eights at the same time, And so they went with Little Richard and played his kind of beat. And Little Richard described it, I want it to be like a freight train. And so basically right there, that's when rock and roll was born.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. I remember him. So what do you have to say to the upcoming artists, pros and cons, basically, negative or positive?
Well, I say that hopefully they're going to be into a lot of different music because you don't want to be pigeonholed into knowing about one thing because all the musicians that are going around these days, they know all kinds of stuff. And they can play different styles of music. And it's rare to get with a group and have hit records and just play that one style all your life. That's almost unheard of. You got to be able to play rock. You got to be able to play jazz, and it takes a lot of work. And that was one of the things when I did that clinic for you. I wish I would have impressed on some of the young musicians in the audience is that it takes a lot of work. The greatest musicians I've ever been around, they practice like 6 and 8 hours a day.
Okay.
And that is a lot. And I've practiced 6 hours a day back 45 years ago. That's what I was doing when I was younger and hungry and wanting to be more successful. And so I would practice, and you have to practice correctly too. You have to practice these things that you're going to need in the real world, like reading. You got to practice reading. I used to spend hours going over the same pieces of music over and over, and seeing the music in front of me, and putting the headphones on and having a band play like Count Basie. And follow the music and learn how to read that music like that, And you need a little help with that. You need a teacher to explain what's going on the music. And once you get somebody that knows that to explain it, it's pretty easy. But it takes a lot of drilling on it to get to where you're not worried about anything. You can just sit down and open up a piece of music and play it the first time within reason. And, I went to the University of North Texas, and that was their main emphasis with the big bands, was to turn all the musicians into good sight readers.
Okay.
So I emphasize that a lot. Guys don't want to mess with that. They don't get called on. If you go over to a rock and roll session, they're not going to pull up any music. So you have to do all this on your own. And the more you know about, if you can read music, then you start telling people, and then the people that can read music, then they call you. And, so then all of a sudden you got you're playing in a band with a bunch of people that have that ability to read, and then you keep moving up. Say that again?
It helps out a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just another tool that you need in music. And and you need to know different styles of rock. We all have the things that we love the most, but you have to learn and listen to other stuff, even like country music. You need to know how to play that, if you were called on to do that. Or if you want to play some Jimmy Smith with the B3 organ like you did the other day. That guy was playing B3. You need to be able to know what to do in that situation. And so all these different situations, they take a little bit of work. You got to work at it. And if you don't work at it, say you practice for an hour. Well, there's like 20 guys that are practicing 2 hours. There's another 20 guys that are practicing 3 hours, and then there's a smaller percentage that are really going for it, and they're the greatest drummers in the world, and all they do is practice or play with the band.
That's
so
true.
it's how hard you want to work is really related to how good you're going to be. So
I have to ask about your stand-up bass player. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's something else. He's brand new. That's the first time he'd played with us. And his name is John Belzeguy. And he played professionally in Los Angeles for 20 years. And he played in a small group with Bob Florence, who wrote that Bebop Charlie chart. And Bob Florence was like picky as you can get. You had to really be a player to play with him. And John Belzeguy did work with him, so that was fantastic. But John also was on the road with Arturo Sandoval. He's a Cuban trumpet player, world famous jazz player, and plays lots of high notes, and he's like one of the greatest trumpet players that's ever lived. And so John Belzeguy had recorded and toured extensively with Arturo Sandoval, and plus no telling what else. I don't even know all of his background. Sometimes I don't want to know a guy's background. Just I know he's good. I've been told he's good, and show up and let's see what you got.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. Let's give a shout out to your drum tech. Is it good to have a drum tech, huh?
Well, at my age, I have to have one. It's just, I could drag all that stuff in and set up all afternoon, but by the time I do all that, I'm so tired I don't want to play the job, And then after the job, you're wiped out, and then you got to spend an hour or two taking everything down with as much stuff as I have, because I have all the music and and the music stands, and not to mention the drums, and I have a lot of stuff. And so I have Dave Beddick. He's been with me over 10 years, and he works around as a stagehand, and he works a lot of the big concert shows that come to town in the big arenas and stuff. And but luckily he likes me. We get along great, and so he'll take off from one of those jobs and come help me out. So
awesome.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's a huge help for me. It makes it more fun when all I have to do is play.
Yes.
I got my hands full with,
Yeah, it helps out a lot.
Yep.
Let's give shouts out to your singer, your artist that was singing last night.
Yeah, Naomi Morrow. Yeah,
Naomi Morrow. Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah, she's something else. She's like perfect for the band. Our style of music is right together. We like the same styles of music. Jazz, and she sings rock too, very well.
Okay.
And made a lot of money playing rock, singing rock, but her heart is in what we're doing. And
okay, that's good.
So, and she sings at her Manzu restaurant too. Bill King plays some nights, and she does some nights, like Friday and Saturday nights. And everything she does, she has a trio: piano, bass, and drums. and it's all jazz, you know. And so I met her like 10 years ago or so, and she was going to join the band then, but she had something else going on and another job, and she couldn't join my band then. So we waited around a few years, and then about 4 years ago, right before COVID hit, she joined my band, and we rehearsed once a week for a couple of months, and then bang, here comes the COVID thing, and that shut us down for a couple of years. And so when that went away, we started back playing at the Smith Center, and yeah, she's fantastic. I couldn't have a better singer than her.
Yes, I must say. As we end the show, what shall we expect for the show in December?
Well, we will be playing a little bit of holiday music, Christmas music. Not a lot, but there'll be about 5 or 6 songs that we have, and they're very good and fun, and you know, to get the people started into the Christmas spirit. That's December the 5th is our show at Myron's at the Smith Center, and but we'll fill in. You know, we usually do 16, 17, 18 tunes, and we'll fill in with other songs that we have in the book, and you know, we have a lot to choose from, fortunately, and stuff that we enjoy playing, and we like to change it up, you know, and you know, keep it fresh. But some people want to hear certain tunes too. They love the way we play these tunes, and they want to hear those. You know, they like hearing the same things, you know, and but we try to you know, make everybody happy, and like I said before, you know, I feel very lucky that God has blessed me that the people in the audience appreciate my taste in music.
Yeah. I must say, and I'm thankful just to be a part of your family, and basically the audience and the team, basically, as far as of you know, just being in there. You know, thank you for just letting me just be under your wings a little bit. You know.
Oh yeah,
great.
Well, I mean, and thank you for everything you've done for me. I mean, you've interviewed me a couple of times before, and had me come do the drum clinic and feature me and some of your drummers, and we had a great time. You know, we always have a great time. You know, you're a special cat. You know, and I appreciate everything you do for me, and you know, we'll continue on and keep working together and appreciating each other, and it's all good.
Yes. As far as of this month, I don't think we're gonna have a drummers luncheon. Suave told me. I think next month we probably will have one, but not this month. Just let
okay. Yeah. Did you talk to Greg Suave Brown? Yes, sir. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Probably next month we'll probably have another luncheon. But I want you to know you're always welcome on this platform anytime. And thank you for letting me be under your wings. That's all I'm just very appreciative about.
Well, my pleasure.
All right. So I would like to thank one of my other mentors, Batman, the producer of this show, and to all my listening audience, be blessed and be encouraged.
Amen.
Join me as your host, Roger Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media LLC. Let's go!
You are listening to Do or Slide Worldwide Podcast.